Oh my gosh. I actually don't know what to do. Well, that was incredibly rude of them. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. We are doing another book unhaul today. I am super excited. This is the second time I've done this on my channel. And basically what we're going to be doing is going through all the books that I am getting rid of. Which is so hard for me to say. I am definitely a book hoarder, if that makes sense. I hoard a lot of books. I have a lot of books. I buy a lot of books. I am a book lover, so I have a lot of books, and I did this video a few months ago to get rid of books that I had either read and didn't like, books that I was never going to read, books that I wanted nothing to do with anymore. I got rid of those books. I donated them. We did a fun giveaway, and now we are back. I think like 3 or 4 months later, doing yet another book unhaul. I have a pretty big stack of books that I am unhauling for you guys today. Again, these are all books that I've either read and just didn't like, and there's no need to keep them on my shelves anymore. There's books in here that I've had for far too long and I just know I'm not going to read them. I feel like life is just too short to force yourself to read books that you don't want to read. So they are also in this pile today. I have a few books in here that are also like duplicates, so I already have that same book in my library. I thought we'd do a few chill videos to kind of kickstart the fall season, get back into the groove of things, and yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. I am going to be listing some of the books you see today over on my Pingo. I'll have it linked down below. And then for the rest of my books, the majority of these books, I'm actually going to be donating them to small free libraries around my city. I love, love, love small free libraries. I love dropping my books off at them and then checking back a few weeks later, seeing what books have been taken, what books have been loved. It just leaves me with the happiest feeling. I feel so full knowing that people are enjoying the books that I put in there. Some of you may be wondering how I know people are reading the books too, and it's because I personally never crack the spines of my books. I'm just not that type of person, not that type of girly, but the majority of you out there love to crack book spines, and that's how I can tell that people are reading the books in the small libraries, because the spines are they're always cracked. I cringe every time I see it, but I also get really happy because I know people are enjoying them and reading them. So that's basically what we're doing in today's video. I am so excited. We're gonna hop right into it. It's so hard for me to get rid of books. It's not even funny, guys. But I need to, because I need to make more room, and you guys will see why in my next video. First up, we have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I actually got this in a blind date with a book type of thing, and I tried getting into it and I couldn't get into it, so I'm getting rid of it. I couldn't really get into this. I don't know what it was about this, but it just wasn't for me. Next up, I have Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. You guys know, if you have been around for a while, and if you are a fan of my 24-hour readathons, you may have seen the reading vlog on this book. I think I rated it 3 stars, and I kind of enjoyed it. I can't remember exactly what I've said about this book on YouTube, but it was an okay book. It wasn't anything special. It's not something that I was obsessed with. I thought the story was interesting, but also kind of frustrating, and it was also very, very slow, so I am deciding to get rid of it. It happened. We all read a book here and there that it doesn't hit for us, and that's okay. Then I have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is actually a double that I have, so I am giving it away. The Amazon film for this just came out. Don't get me started on it, but you guys should definitely go check it out. We have Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman. I picked this up like a few months ago thinking I was going to read it and maybe like it more. I saw so many people review it. Some people like it, some people don't like it. That's fine. That's what reading is all about. I just saw really negative reviews about this, and because I wasn't very big on book 1, I decided I don't want to put myself through this book. Book unhauls make me so uncomfortable because I feel like I'm just complaining the whole video and also being very negative, which I don't like to be. I don't like to to be negative, but for the sake of this video, I just don't want to read this book. I have to say A+ for whoever does her covers though. I think they are stunning and so stinking cute. We have After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is an oldie that I've had on my shelves for over a year now. I don't see myself reading it, to be completely honest, although I am a huge Evelyn Hugo girly. I've been influenced by Daisy Jones and the Six. That is another great read. I'm just not very intrigued by her other books at the moment, and since it's been over a year, I feel like it's just time to let some of them go. We have One Italian Summer by Rebecca Surley. This is actually such a cute cover, and it's a hardcover, which I really like. This is a book I have tried to read for the past 2 summers, and I just could not get into it. It also kind of gives off a sad vibe because it's about a girl who loses her mother, and then she travels to Italy and basically encounters her mother's ghost, and I think they travel around Italy together, and I love the idea of it, but there's just something a little too sad about it for me, and I don't know, there's something about the writing style that I just couldn't get into. Then I have Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. This is a highly requested book on my channel. I've gotten asked so many times to read this and review it. It gives off sad girl vibes, I'm sure, as you guys can tell by this cover. I decided to throw it in this unhaul and finally get rid of it because I actually got this book back when I was in high school during a very, very rough time. I think because I got this book during such a hard time in my life, anytime I try to pick it up, I just associate it with that difficult time, and it just makes me feel really weird and sad inside. So I'm finally unhauling it and taking it off my bookshelves just because of the weird memories it kind of brings with it. I'm so sorry to everyone who has requested to see this in a reading vlog and stuff like that. Maybe one day I'll be able to pick it up or something, but I just don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. I've heard mixed things on it. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's another book I've actually had on my bookshelf for the longest time. It's probably one of the first books I bought when adding to my book collection. I felt like it was never really calling my name when I was picking out my TBRs. It's actually really funny, but if you look, you can see how sun bleached this spine is. Oh my gosh, how bad is that? So I'm saying goodbye to The Dead Romantics. No hate to anyone who loves that book, because I have heard a lot of people say positive things about it, but it just wasn't calling my name, unfortunately. Next up, we have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. It just doesn't seem like the type of book I would pick up and read, to be completely honest. I don't know, it's just not calling my name. Next up, I have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was also just turned into a film. I watched a trailer for it like a month ago, and it actually seemed really interesting, but it's not a book I see myself picking up anytime soon, and I think it's mainly because I'm definitely going through like a fantasy phase. A lot of the books I want to read right now are definitely fantasy based, and if they're not fantasy based, they're like heavy romances, so I just don't see me reading this anytime soon. And Taylor Jenkins Reid is such an incredible author. It has nothing to do with her, honestly. I love her writing, but it's not it for me. We have Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. I have so much beef with this book. I read this in the beginning of the year, and I originally picked it up from Barnes because it looks like the cutest little YA romance. This cover is what originally got me, as I'm sure it gets so many people. It's basically about this girl who is running a bookstore across the street from another bookstore, and the main male character in it is working at the opposing bookstore. So we have a little bit of enemies to lovers in here, and it sounded so cute from the beginning. I feel like this book had so much potential, and then when I read it, I was so disappointed. I could not get into it. I thought the writing was really slow, and then I also felt like the main character, Madeline, she was so immature, and it kind of drove me crazy. Then we have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is a double copy that I have, so I decided to unhaul it. It is very, very torn up. As you can see, the corner down here is ripped. It's a very old book, it seems like. Since I already have 2 other copies of this book, I figured there's no point in keeping this one. I think this is going to be such a fun one to put in the free small library because this is such a popular book talk book that so many people want to read. I feel like Colleen Hoover is such a popular author. We have a little poetry book. I have Milk and Honey. I feel like this came out back in 2016, and I remember being on Pinterest and Tumblr growing up. These poems would always show up on there, and then the book was made and it was such a big deal. Anyways, I'm unhauling it because I already have a copy of this. I Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. This I think is like an arc. I also got sent the released version of the book, and then I got sent the book of the month version of the book. So we're getting rid of this version. I'm gonna put it in a small little library. This sounds absolutely adorable and hilarious though. I cannot wait to read it. We have Kisses and Croissants by Anne-Sophie Johanna. This was another cutie little book that got me in Barnes. I love the cover. It's about a ballet dancer who I think is doing a summer camp in Paris basically, and she's trying to get into the best ballet school in the world. So this was like calling my name, and then when I finally sat down and read it, this is why you don't judge a book by its cover, because I picked up two books that looked absolutely adorable. They seemed like the sweetest stories, and then I read them and I was so incredibly disappointed with them. I think both of these books actually put me into reading slump. Kisses and Croissants though, I have to say, like, the majority of the story was really good. It was the ending that literally tore my heart out, and I was just so angry with how this ended. We have Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This is a super popular book talk fantasy book, I feel like. I read through this I think a few months ago during a fantasy vlog. I didn't really enjoy it, and I don't know if it's because I had read A Court of Thorns and Roses and The Selection within the same reading vlog. They're very similar vibes and tropes in those books, but I couldn't get into Red Queen, to be completely honest. It just wasn't one of my favorites. We have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I am actually getting rid of this book because I have a very special package coming soon. They are special edition books of the Shadow and Bone series, and I am so stinking excited for them and to read them and to have them on my shelves because they're stunning. I'm super excited to get into this universe because I've heard really good things about it, and it's also a Netflix series that I really want to try out, so I can't wait to read the books and then watch the show. We have A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This is a sad one. I actually don't know what to really do with this book. I might have to just recycle it because it's actually a misprint. I ordered this book off of Amazon because it's such a highly requested book on my channel. You guys always request to see it in reading vlogs. I ordered this book off Amazon, and there's a misprint where on the pages there's a line going through all the words. So I didn't notice it right away when I got the book, and I should have reached out to Amazon to see if I could get a replacement copy, but I just feel like at this point it's way too late to do that. I am hoping to pick up the new version of it that just came out. I think it's by Bloom. This one's a sad one to get rid of because I don't want to get rid of it, but I can't really read it. We have My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I feel like I just read this book yesterday, and it was a roller coaster of a read, to be completely honest. I think after reading this one and Hook, Line, and Sinker, also by Tessa Bailey, I feel like Tessa Bailey books may not be for me, to be completely honest. She has a very different writing style, in my opinion, compared to a lot of the authors that I like to read. I just have a really hard time getting into her books. It usually takes a good 150s for me to really get into the story. For this one specifically, it was just very insta-lovey. This book was kind of weird for me, so I'm unhauling it. It's really sad because I feel like it's another book that had a lot of potential because it's about a teacher that's going on vacation, and she basically partners up with this bounty hunter. They try to uncover this murder mystery that took place, but I don't know. I just felt like it was such a weird storyline and such a weird way to go about the romance. Again, it was very insta-lovey, and insta-lovey tropes isn't my favorite when it comes to reading romance, so that could have also been a reason why I didn't enjoy it. But Tessa Bailey has a very specific writing style that I just don't enjoy sometimes. Book on hauls are so hard. I feel like I'm roasting all these authors and books, and like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be totally honest and transparent with you guys on why I'm getting rid of some of these. Like I loved It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. That one's so cute. I love Piper and Brendan, but My Killer Vacation just wasn't it. It just wasn't it for me. Then we have Fallen to Me by Mila Gray. This is another book that I've had on my bookshelf for far too long, and I just don't see myself picking it up. It's basically about a singer falling in love with like her bodyguard or something. I don't know, guys. It's just not, it's not given the vibes that I want. This book, the only reason why I'm unhauling it is it's the cover. I can't with real people on cover sometimes it's just too cringy for me, and this book has been just staring at me for far too long. I can't do it anymore, so I'm unhauling it. I may read it in the future, maybe on Kindle or something. It just wasn't it for me. The last book that I'm going to be unhauling is Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. If you know, you know. If you are an OG Twilight girly, you already know. This is basically Edward's point of view from the Twilight saga. I don't know how I feel about this, to be completely honest, so. But that brings us to the end of my massive book unhaul. We got rid of a ton of books today. It might not seem like a lot of books to a lot of you, but for me personally, this is a lot of books for me to actually get rid of and take off my shelves and say goodbye to. Again, I am a huge book hoarder. Really don't like getting rid of books, but it gets to a point where I have to make room for other books, and I feel like these books can go to such good homes where people will appreciate them more. I'll have my Pingo linked down below if you guys want to check out my little library front. And then for the rest of this vlog, we're actually going to go out and put the remaining books in the free small little libraries. It's my favorite thing to do. I'm so excited.